What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies, and welcome to my review of Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. This is the third movie in the Knives Out franchise from writer-director Rian Johnson. Josh O'Connor plays a young priest named Judd who gets sent to a troubled parish led by Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, played by Josh Brolin, a man who likes to shame and guilt his congregation to keep them under control. It's not long after Judd's arrival that someone ends up dead, and the list of suspects is long, including Martha, played by Glenn Close, Wick's most loyal follower; Samson, a groundskeeper, played by Thomas Hayden Church, who credits Wicks with his sobriety; Nat, played by Jeremy Renner, a doctor whose wife left him, so he turns to drinking to numb the pain; Lee, played by Andrew Scott, a science fiction writer who has become a full-blown conspiracy theorist; Vera, played by Kerry Washington, a talented lawyer who has a testy relationship with her son Cy, played by Daryl McCormick, an aspiring politician turned social media influencer; and Simone, played by Kaylee Spaney, a cellist who looks to Wicks to heal her chronic pain. But of course, it wouldn't be a Knives Out mystery without Benoit Blanc, played again by Daniel Craig, and soon the intrepid detective arrives to crack the case. Before I jump into the review, if you'd like to support the channel, there are a couple ways you can do that. Make sure you subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Also, join the discussion, jump into the comments, and share your thoughts about the movie.
To understand this case, you need to look at the myth that's being constructed. A man gives a sermon. He then, in plain sight of everyone, walks into a sealed concrete box. And 30 seconds later, that man is lying dead.
We're now in the third Knives Out movie, and all these movies follow a certain template. They all have a stacked ensemble cast playing a central group of characters. They all have a murder mystery that's filled with twists and turns, and they also have a good dose of humor. Wake Up Dead Man, which is also the third outing for Detective Benoit Blanc, follows that formula to a T, but it's a darker tale than the previous movies, and this time around, Johnson is playing around with ideas that center on religion, like what it means to be a believer or a non-believer, the cult of personality, and how blind faith and devotion can be very dangerous. Anger is also a big theme in Wake Up Dead Man, from how someone deals with their anger, to how anger manifests, to what happens if you let anger consume you. Now, Benoit Blanc is the one character that has carried over from each of the Knives Out movies, and once again, Daniel Craig seems like he's having a really good time in this role. And just like the first two movies, he's so good at playing this character, even with the questionable Southern accent that he's doing. But for me, the real standouts here were Josh O'Connor as Father Judd and Glenn Close as Martha. O'Connor's Judd is pretty much the central character in this movie, and he plays this character with a kindness and sincerity of someone who wants to change the world for the better. He's wide-eyed and eager to help others, even though he's still wrestling with his own troubled past. O'Connor also gets to be a little silly here, and it gives him a chance to show off his comedic talents. Glenn Close is superb as Martha, whose devotion is intense and also very terrifying. This character could have been too over the top and too much of a caricature, but Close knows how to keep it from crossing that line. The rest of the supporting cast here is very good, but one of the weakest parts of this movie is how distant all of these characters felt. In the previous Knives Out movies, there was much more cohesion to the characters and their relationships to one another, but you don't really get that here with this movie. Now, one of the real strengths of this movie is how well the different themes are interwoven into the mystery, and this mystery is full of twists and turns. Now, there were a few moments where things start to get a little convoluted, but thankfully the story was still easy to follow and you can put some of the pieces of the puzzle together, but there were still enough layers to keep you guessing up until the end. Wake Up Dead Man is also a gorgeous looking movie. Johnson is once again working with cinematographer Stephen Yedlin, and I liked the different camera work here, and I also liked how the movie played with lighting and shadows. And I think this is arguably the best looking Knives Out movie so far. Wake Up Dead Man definitely feels more ambitious than the previous Knives Out movies, and it definitely feels like Johnson has more to say this time around, and I think he does a really good job of incorporating those different themes into the overall mystery. I still think the first Knives Out movie is the best, but this one I think is a close second. Although I did like the fun approach of Glass Onion, I did like the darker gothic vibes of Wake Up Dead Man, and I think this movie does a better job of balancing the tone and handling a more complex mystery. So those are my thoughts on Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, which is out in theaters right now for a very limited time before it hit Netflix on December 12th. Do you plan on seeing it in theaters, or are you waiting for Netflix? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. So that does it for me, everyone. See you next time, and thanks for watching.